All right. Hello, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and begin. Hopefully, y'all can hear me okay. My name is William Schwerin. I am the, what am I,
Done.
senior director, I guess, if you go by titles. Can,
No, well, he is, but
can
I'm not.
everyone hear me okay? All right. Very good. I'm going to go ahead and get started. As I was saying, I'm on the graduate admission and recruitment team. I don't do admissions, but I work closely with our admissions staff, and some of my colleagues who have joined today also have very close knowledge of our admissions process. I do want to thank you for joining and taking time out of your busy day, morning, evening, wherever you are. Hopefully, the goal of this is to be able to answer questions that you may have about the application. If you're stuck or you just have questions that you'd like answered, I hope that we're able to answer to help better inform you to make an informed decision and feel comfortable with applying. We want to try to eliminate the unknown because we know that sometimes that can be scary in applying to someplace far away if you're coming for our international students. And then if you're here local or within the US, just knowing a little bit more about USC and our graduate program. So I'm going to go through a few slides. I'm going to go through this really quick. I do want to encourage, if you have a question, um, ask it in the Q&A portion of your Zoom box. Okay. Please don't ask in the chat, just ask in the Q&A. And we'll do our best to get to that. I will answer some of the more, I think, general or common questions. I will try to address those via audio, so just kind of over the call. And then my colleagues will also step in and answer some of the questions in the Q&A through chat. So we're here for you. We want to be able to help you. I've been at the engineering school for over 16 years. I've loved every minute of it. It's been a really great time. And I really think that our location in Los Angeles, proximity to industry, just availability for opportunity, both in the university and outside of the university in Los Angeles, are really valuable uh, things for a prospective student to consider USC. So really want to encourage you, to get that application in, ask the questions that you need to get asked. And, I really hope that we're able to assist you. So without further ado, I will stop talking. Well, I'll keep talking actually, but I'll go to my next slide. Okay, so our school, the Viterbi School of Engineering, so you're applying to a graduate program within the engineering school. You're either applying to a master's or a PhD program. So I've outlined here just kind of a lot of very similar on a lot of levels, the differences between the masters and what we look for, but they are very different as well. I'd say our master's application process is pretty straightforward. You should have at minimum a bachelor's in engineering, computer science, math, or some type of hard science field like physics, chemistry. We do have a number of programs where non-engineering backgrounds are available to apply and potentially get admitted. So I don't want to discourage you if you don't have that traditional engineering background, but there are some programs on the flip side where they are looking for specific backgrounds. For example, like our computer science program. If you're applying directly to like the Masters of Science in Computer Science, you really should have a computer science background. That being said, for example, there is a program called Computer Science for Scientists and Engineers, which is a program specifically for students who don't have that traditional computer science background, however, do have some type of engineering, math, or hard science background. So hopefully that's a distinction that you can understand. It is an online application. Hopefully by now all of you have at least begun the online application. There's a $90 application fee that you pay at the end of the application. Unfortunately, we will not be providing fee waivers for this webinar. Okay, so please just kind of keep that in mind. Bear with me one moment. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Official transcripts. So transcripts will need to be uploaded electronically over the internet, just online. You upload them into your application portal. You do not have to physically mail transcripts to USC. This is an exception that only Viterbi School of Engineering applicants have received. So we have discussed it with our graduate school office for the university that represents the entire university, and they make this exception specifically for the Viterbi School of Engineering applicants. So you just have to receive an official copy of your transcripts, scan them, and upload them into your application portal. This is both for master's and PhD applicants. Okay. Additionally, a resume or CV is required, so you will need to upload that into your application portal, as well as a personal statement. So all of these so far are required both for master's and PhD. This is where start of the differentiation between the applicants begins, though, between a master's and a PhD. So I'll start with a personal statement for a master's student. Should talk about your background. So you really want to paint a picture about you. If you think about the materials that you provided thus far, they're very quantitative in nature, right? So a lot of data, your grades, courses you've taken. Your personal statement is going to allow our application viewers and our admissions office to really understand and have a better picture about who you are as an applicant. So describe anything in your background, maybe circumstances you've overcome in your background that you're really proud of. If there's any anomaly in your college transcript that you're concerned about and you'd like to explain maybe what happened, that's another thing that some students write about. Your reason for applying to the specific master's program that you're applying for, and potentially career goals and interests as well. Those are some examples of things in a personal statement that you can write about. I'm going to stick with master's with regards to letters of recommendation. So letters of recommendation vary from program to program. So for some programs, they are not required. However, for others, they may be. I really encourage you to go to our website. On our website, we have individual program pages for each of our 67 plus master's degree programs. And on those pages, we do list and state whether or not a letter of recommendation is or is not required. And if they are required, how many are required? Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. Finally, at the master's level for our master's applicants, GRE is not required. Okay, even if you've taken the GRE exam and did great, props to you. I'm really proud of that. Unfortunately, don't even bother submitting your scores, however, because that is not going to be a factor that our admissions office takes into consideration when reviewing your application file. Okay, I'm going to jump over to the PhD requirements side. I stopped at personal statement, and the personal statement for a PhD applicant should differ from a master's applicant. Okay, so if you're applying to the PhD program, you want to have a strong personal statement. The PhD applications are reviewed by faculty. Committees within each department review the PhD applications. So they're going to be reading your personal statement. You really want to paint a great picture about yourself as an applicant. You're going to want to talk about research, the research you've maybe conducted, research that you'd be interested in conducting should you get admitted to the Viterbi School of Engineering. List faculty that you're interested in potentially working with at the Viterbi School. It's not necessarily, we try to match you with faculty if you're admitted, but it's not a guarantee. But you do want to showcase and explain your research ability. Obstacles maybe that you've overcome in a research lab setting as well is something else that you might want to consider in a personal statement. It's open to you how you want to write your personal statement. I'm just providing a roadmap that you can potentially follow. Finally, 3 letters of recommendation are required for every PhD applicant, no matter which program you're applying for. So every PhD program requires at least 3 letters of recommendation. They should come from someone who can talk about you in a lab setting, who supervised you, because it's kind of like you're applying for a job, and our faculty reviewing the applications want to hear from someone who could talk about you in a lab setting. So just kind of keep that in mind. Now, I want to emphasize Do not hold up from submitting your application. The application is required by December 15th. If you're applying for the PhD program, especially, be sure to submit your application. Even if you don't have your letters of recommendation yet, that's a separate portal. What you're going to want to do, submit the application. You write in the name and email address of who you would like to provide your letters of recommendation, submit your application. Those letters of recommendation can come in after the deadline. It's a separate portal that your recommenders will have access to. You do not want to hold up from submitting your application after December 15th because you won't be able to. The system goes it goes blank, and so you won't have the option to submit. That button will go away. So I do want to emphasize, especially for PhD applicants, you must submit by that December 15th. So don't hold up on your letters of rec. They can come at a later date. Please take note of that. Okay, one other thing. So with the exception of applicants to our astronautical engineering PhD program and industrial and systems engineering PhD program, the GRE is not required. Those two programs decided this year that they do want to start requiring the GRE for their PhD program. So just kind of keep that in mind. I don't know if we have anyone who plans on applying to either of those programs on this call, but I do want to just let everyone know. Okay, funding. So I'm going to go over the slide really quick. Funding at the master's and PhD programs are very different. Our PhD program is very nice, where we do aim to offer full funding for all PhD admitted students, generally in the form of tuition, a stipend for living expenses, health benefit package. You don't have to worry about that until you're admitted, and then the departments will communicate with you on the funding package you received, and you'll be off and running from there. On the master side, fortunately, funding is very limited. This is something as recruiters and admissions rep we kind of struggle with because we know that tuition is not cheap. We've kind of done benchmarking against our competitors, and we kind of fall in the middle in terms of master's degree programs. So our programs at the master's side are 1.5 to 2 years on average, and we're not the cheapest. We realize that, but we're also not the most expensive. We kind of fall in the middle. So I think just kind of keep that into consideration. Now, if you apply by the December 15th deadline for a master's program, you're automatically considered for one of our limited merit-based scholarships. So they are not full scholarships. We do encourage you to seek funding outside of the Viterbi School of Engineering. But you will be automatically considered. If you are selected for further consideration for a scholarship, there is an interview process that takes place down the road after you've been admitted. But first things first, just make sure you apply by that December 15th deadline, okay? Okay, this is specifically a slide for international students. There are required test scores. These test scores do not impact your admissibility. However, you do need to have test scores submitted by the application deadline. You don't have to have met the scores listed yet if you have submitted an application. It's obviously ideal if you have. You can submit higher scores should you receive higher scores and retake the test. You can submit those scores later to us. You just need to make sure that you have taken the test, received scores, and submit your application, okay? They must be received electronically from the testing service, and they are used for placement purposes only. Because what happens is if you're an admitted student, you either don't send us scores or don't receive these minimum requirements for scores. When you come to campus, you will have to take an English placement exam, and then USC would require you to take English courses and have to pay for that, which can cost money that could be better used elsewhere, which nobody wants to do that. So just kind of keep that in mind. We encourage you to try to meet those scores. Our application deadline is December 15th. I may have mentioned this a couple times. I want to mention it again. By 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, okay? So whether you're in the US on the East Coast or overseas in India, China, Taiwan, Singapore, Korea, wherever you may be, 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So you might have to do some math to figure out if you're still eligible. But please remember, December 15th, 11:59 is the latest that you could submit your application deadline for it to be considered on time. And again, specifically for our PhD applicants, the application system will close and not let you submit after this day and time. So please, especially if you're applying to the PhD program, submit by December 15th at the latest. Okay, so now I'm just going to run through some fun frequently asked questions, and then we'll go through some of the Q&A. You guys are doing an awesome job answering my team, answering some of the Q&A. So I really thank you in advance for answering those. And I see some Q&A, some questions that are rolling in, and we'll try to address those as they come. Please be patient if you have submitted a question. I have a 3.5 GPA. Can I get admitted? We do not have minimum required scores. I just want to say that up front. Hopefully you already know that by reviewing our website. That's obviously a competitive GPA. There are a lot of factors taken into consideration for application review that our admissions office does. So I highly encourage you to apply and get that application submitted if you have that good of a GPA. If you took the GRE exam, may I submit scores even if they're not required? Even if they're not required, don't submit them. Even if you do submit them, they will not be taken into consideration as a factor for your admissibility. I do not have an undergraduate degree in computer science, but I'd like to apply for the MS and CS. What should I do? In this case, as I mentioned previously early on, I would highly recommend you apply for the MS in computer science for scientists and engineers. Our MS and CS really does look for students with that computer science background. Are there teaching assistants or research assistantship opportunities for master's students? We get this question a lot. That's why it's a frequently asked question, because it's a good question. Unfortunately, teaching and research assistantships and opportunities are reserved for our PhD program students, because on the PhD program, we do aim to fully fund. There are some limited like reader opportunities available or course grader opportunities. There are plenty of on-campus jobs that we also tell students about. We actually have some master's students who work for us. You can become a student ambassador for us. There are some other opportunities available. There are plenty of opportunities on campus, and there are even job fairs for students who want to earn on-campus jobs. But teaching and research assistantships, we tell students don't expect or depend on receiving one. They're very rare. It's possible, but it's super rare for a master's student to receive a TA or RA-ship because those are reserved for the PhD students. Where can I find career information and tuition/estimated cost of attendance? On our website. On each of our degree program pages that I mentioned, we have career information. There's a tab that you can go to view specifically for that program, information from former students. They have relayed that information to us. We send a survey out to all our graduating students. Unfortunately, we do not have a 100% perfect response rate, but we try. But with the responses that we do get, we compile the data and put it on our website for you to view. The tuition and estimated cost of attendance worksheets, we also do have those on our website as well. You can find links to that information on those degree program pages as well. Finally, and this is kind of an aside, but we have awesome student ambassadors, really, really great current students. They've been in your shoes. They've applied, obviously, to USC. And when they were in this time of their life, they applied to other schools and were admitted to USC and other schools, and they have been in your shoes, so they know what it's like. Highly encourage you, reach out to them. They're really great, really affable and friendly, and want to just give back because they thankfully and really love their time at USC and want to be able to share helpful information with our prospective students such as yourself. So you see the QR code there. Okay, so that is all for my slides. Right now I'm going to slide over to the Q&A and take a look at some of the questions. I'm really going to be looking at the general questions. Wow, my colleagues are doing awesome. They've already answered over 100 questions. So you guys are really bringing the questions today. Let me go ahead and take a look. Right now, I'm going to go through some of these, and the audio might be off for a minute while I'm reading, but um, bear with me here. I do want to make a point about something about transcripts. So you want to have as much as you can compiled in your application portal in order to submit your application. Okay, if you're missing something or you're waiting on a transcript, what will happen is when you submit your application, our central graduate admissions office for USC, they look at the applications, they make sure that everything is in there and packaged nicely, all your transcripts from all your schools that you've attended is there, and then they send it to the engineering school to review. If there's a transcript missing, I see a question here about a transcript that's being waited on. If there's a transcript missing, um, they will notify you to let you know, hey, there's something missing in your file. There's a transcript. Please send it in as soon as possible. So I'd say if you have an older transcript you're waiting on, don't let that keep you from submitting your application. Do try to obviously provide the transcript as soon as you get it, but try to make sure you send that or get that application in by the December 15th deadline. Hopefully that helps. Okay, I'm going to answer this question. Dear from Mohammed, I'm applying for the PhD program in electrical engineering. I've taken my TOEFL exam and was wondering whether I should send my scores officially now or if I can submit them after being accepted into the program. You will want to send them in as soon as possible, Mohammed. Go ahead and send those scores in. You don't want to uh, wait. Um, you won't receive an admission decision until we receive some scores. So go ahead and please do send those scores in now. I'm going to go ahead and put the current student ambassador slide back up to allow you to take a picture of that to chat with our ambassadors. I'm applying for the computer science scientists and engineers program and thinking about either the online or the on-campus forms. I'm curious the differences in admission. Specifically, does the online program have limited positions and is more competitive than the on-campus option? Thank you. Great question. This is Yu Yun. Your question. So the difference in the programs is the modality. The admission requirements and criteria are going to be the same whether you're applying to the on-campus program or the online program. We don't make it easier for the online programs applicants. They have to meet the same eligibility requirements as an on-campus student. So when I say the differences in the modalities, obviously the on-campus students have to be in class, while the online students, they are mainly working professionals somewhere in and around the United States who are taking one class a semester, maybe two, usually just one class a semester because there's a work-life balance if they're working full-time, right? So they're earning their degree and they view the live stream of the on-campus lecture. So it really comes down to preference, I'd say, if you're considering on campus or online. Um, as you know, you had some practice maybe during COVID with like doing school online. That's not for everyone. Some people are great at it and excel. Not everyone does. So it's really, you have to know yourself and how you feel you would perform best. I will say, as an on-campus student with a program that is also online, it's a really great benefit because, for example, you might be in a class that's being streamed live to our online students. Our online students have access to watch the live stream. Our on-campus students, because they have to be in class, don't have access to watch the live stream. However, after the class is done, there's a recording of that stream that gets put onto a server, and for the rest of the semester, you can go back and watch, whether you're an online student or on-campus student. So it becomes a valuable study tool, especially during midterms and finals. And as an on-campus student, you can actually sit in class and not have to stress out about taking notes. You can just sit and try to absorb the information and listen. And then you can go back and watch the live, or I'm sorry, the recording of the live stream. So that's something to consider. But you are more than welcome to apply for either. Obviously, if you're an international student, if you're applying for online, there's going to be a few more hurdles that you're going to have to jump through and information you're going to have to provide. If you're not an international student, it's a little bit easier because there's not visa restrictions that are involved in those types of things. But just know, hopefully that clarifies the difference between an on-campus student and on-campus program, and that applies for our online program as well.
Hi, Billy. Can I hop on just for a second to answer a question?
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, Jessica Stern.
Hi, everyone. I'm seeing a lot of questions about the English proficiency scores, and specifically, if you received a TOEFL or IELTS score that's below the minimum requirement for our master's or PhD programs. And some of you are asking, if I scored below that minimum, should I still submit my application? The answer is yes. So we do not use your English proficiency scores, whether you took the TOEFL or IELTS, as part of the admission process. We look at your transcripts, we look at your personal statements, we look at letters of recommendation if they're required. But the English proficiency, thank you, Billy, for pulling that up. You can see this is to give you an idea. When you submit your test scores for TOEFL or IELTS, we use that to determine your whether you will need to take an English exam upon arrival at USC. To waive out of any English requirement, you can submit a TOEFL or IELTS score that meets these requirements. If you have a current TOEFL or IELTS score, even if it's below what you see here, you can submit it with your application. And then if you take the test again, which we would recommend you do so that you can place out of any English at USC, you can submit the new TOEFL or IELTS scores later. So I would recommend, if you do have a TOEFL or IELTS score now, that you submit it with your application. And yes, just wanted to make that distinction that we don't use it as part of admission purposes.
Outstanding. Thank you so much. Hopefully that's clear. I received a question in the Q&A. When will admission teams start reviewing applications? A great question. And when will we start getting results? So master's and PhD applicants, the review will start early January. For the PhD program, I think the departments want to try to get the PhD admissions done relatively quick. We also have fewer applications to the PhD program, so that helps a little bit. But for the PhD applicants, you should start hearing admission decisions probably around late January through February, maybe even into March. For our master's applicants, mid to late January into February, into March, and at the latest April. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. That's when the admissions team will start reviewing and then start sending out results. I'm going to answer this question from Dongjin. I'm sorry if I misunderstood. So there are no interviews for PhD admission. That is correct. Our admission for the PhD applicants will be done by faculty committees within each department. While rare, it's possible that you may be contacted by faculty to maybe clarify something in your application, but there's no formal interview for admission. Okay. There's a question here. Sometimes we get it that I want to clarify for Rufino. If admitted to a master's program, can it be converted to a PhD program before graduating? Not automatically. We do, this does come up. If you are a master's student doing some research and want to become a PhD student, you still do have to submit an application for that. It's not an automatic kind of transfer, so to speak. So you will be asked to provide and submit an application for the PhD program if you're a master's student. And I do want to answer because we do have some questions about transcripts and um, evaluations. We will do any conversions on our end. So go ahead and submit the transcripts that you have. Don't worry about getting a translation. We will do the translation on our end and any conversions. If they're in a different scoring system, we will do that as well on our end. So go ahead and just kind of send in what you have. There's a question here from Modupe. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing your name right. Would I need to speak with a faculty professor to be considered for admission? It is not required. And at this point, it's probably too late, anyways. But it is not required for masters, especially. And for PhD, you're more than welcome to reach out. But again, at this point, it's probably too late. It's not a requirement when applying to a PhD program to contact faculty. Okay, so I have a question here about someone who's interested in applying to more than one program. They want to apply Alexander, their Master's of Science in Computer Science and a Master of Science in Applied Data Science. Are the applications reviewed? Are they separated and reviewed independently? So yes. So how that works, you will be reviewed for each individual application you submit. and based on the program you're applying for, it's potential, best case scenario, it's possible for you to get admitted to both programs that you apply for. It's possible that you only get admitted to one of the programs, and then worst case scenario, you don't get admitted to either. But that is a possibility. If you apply to multiple programs, you potentially could get admitted to all of the programs you apply for, and then you would have to make a decision, right? Which program would be the best and which one you would want to enroll in. So just kind of keep that in mind. It is possible, though, to get multiple admissions to multiple programs. Okay, this question just came in from Jasmine. I'm going to answer it. I'm an international student. I believe I can waive my English requirement since I completed my undergraduate course degree in its entirety in the US. Would I need to send a letter for a waiver or attach anything in the application? So, if you are an international student in this case, but you did complete your entire undergraduate coursework in the US at an institution in the US, you will not, that is correct, you will not have to um, submit English proficiency scores. Um, you won't have to attach anything. Obviously, we will see in your transcript that you attended your entire undergraduate program in the US. Do not let that keep you from submitting the application, okay? But that's a great question. I had a question from June Young uh, about applying to the PhD program in computer science with a computer engineering background. Um, You're more than welcome to apply. I do want to encourage you. Hopefully, you have some computer science research in your background. Faculty will be looking for the computer science research in your background since you don't have that traditional computer science undergrad, but still encourage you to apply because faculty can be looking for different things. The PhD program is a lot less linear of an admissions process, I will say, than say a master's program where it's pretty linear and straightforward. So faculty could be looking for someone with a computer engineering background, but with computer science in their research. So just kind of keep that in mind. I want to thank my colleagues are doing an amazing job. Over 270 questions answered. This is like a record. Thank you so much for your time. We will have a hard stop in about a little less than 20 minutes. So if you do have any last minute questions, please do submit in the Q&A. I do want to reiterate that unfortunately we were not going to offer application fee waivers for attending this webinar. So just kind of keep that in mind. Unfortunately, no fee waivers will be provided. I have a couple questions about the length of statement of purpose that have kind of come through the Q&A, and some of them have been answered, but I do want to specify, I guess, in your personal statement, try to keep it under 2 pages as best you can. You're not going to be negatively um, looked at if it's a little bit longer, but again, do try to be as succinct as possible. You don't want to be long-winded or anything like that. So, we recommend 1 to 2 pages. Try to be as close to that as you can. Again, there's no minimum, but it's just a recommendation that we like to provide. I do want to encourage you, since we do have about 10 more minutes, um, we won't be allowing anyone to go on the mic other than myself and my colleagues. So if you do have a question, please do try your best to ask it in the Q&A and formulate it as best as possible. We just want to keep the audio portion to myself and my colleagues. So I appreciate your understanding with that. I do want to send you guys a quick poll. I'm just curious of those who are still on the degree objective, if you're applying to a master's or a PhD. Um, I'd like to emphasize again for those PhD, since there are a considerable number who are interested in applying, that December 15th deadline is a hard deadline. So please make sure, I want to really emphasize that because we haven't done this in the past, but it is a hard deadline. You must submit by that December 15th deadline. You will not be able to, the button will go away after December 15th. So please try to get your application, you must get it in by December 15th if you want to be considered for a PhD program. Thank you. But this is great. Thank you so much for those who've responded. Really interested, always curious where students' interests lie, and this just helps us, and it also helps kind of formulate some of the responses and how we talk to you about the differences between the programs. But looks like it's a pretty even balance, which is pretty cool. Again, if you're applying to the master's program, December 15th, try to get your application in by that deadline. If you want to be considered for some of the one of the limited merit scholarships, it's not an automatic. It's a pretty competitive scholarship, but you must submit by that December 15th deadline. And again, the PhD applicants must submit by that December 15th deadline. And you'll probably get some emails from our admissions office reminding you about those deadlines. We just want to make it clear and be transparent about the deadline with you all. But thank you so much. I'll go ahead and end the poll. Thank you so much for those answers. Okay, we're down to the final 5 minutes. So if you have any last minute questions that you're really um, wanting to ask, I definitely encourage you. Again, I want to go back to our ambassador slide. We have tremendous current student ambassadors that you can ask, not necessarily application related questions to, but just general USC questions. They're really your peers. So, I mean, you could ask them about what it's like to go from undergrad to grad and talk about their experiences. But they're standout and stellar students, and we value them. So feel free to ask them after this presentation has concluded. But we'll leave it open for a few more minutes before we have to log off. Thank you to those who are signing off. Thank you to everyone who's still here and stayed through the end. You made it. Really, thank you so much. And we hope to have your application in and be able to review it and hopefully see you at USC next fall. Um, we encourage you by that December 15th deadline, but thank you again, whenever you are joining us from today. Jialong, yes. He's asking, or she's asking, Jialong is asking, um, can I upload the latest version of my transcript after 12:15? Yes, send us what you have. You can upload what you have and then upload an updated version after December 15th. Just be sure to include your current transcript by then. If you have not received an admission decision yet, you can upload the latest transcript for consideration, but you must submit a transcript by that December 15th deadline. And then if you want to upload an updated version, that's possible. Zhao Yu, no, the MS application does not include interviews. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start winding it down to close. Should you have any further questions, on our website, we have a contact form. Go ahead and go to our website, viterbigraddadmission.usc.edu/contact. Submit the contact form should you have any additional questions. We are routed those questions and we'll answer you as soon as we're able to. So thank you so much. Thank you. Huge thanks to my colleagues who have answered a lot of questions. We answered a lot of questions, you guys. So I feel like the Avengers right now. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. And we hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And like we say, USC fight on. Everyone, have a great one. Take care. Bye bye.